Okay, so here I am in India with Raj. I just met Raj at my yoga retreat. And Raj, why don't you tell him a little bit about yourself first, and then we'll just start talking and then see what wisdom comes out of us.
Oh, okay. Oh, you want wisdom?
Why not? We're in the middle of.
I thought we already had all the wisdom we needed for the week.
So tell him your name and what it is that you
Sure.
do in the States.
My name is Raj Singh. I run a small business in the United States. Basically, it's a software company where a lot of the work may be done from India. Um, I grew up in the U.S. from the age of 16, so I'm primarily much more adept to that culture than possibly to the Indian culture, although I'm sure there's a lot of Indian in me still.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yes, I've seen it. You still eat with your fingers?
I think a lot of white people eat with their fingers
I
now.
know. But we don't know how to shove the food in with the thumb like the way you
Oh,
do.
okay.
Well, thanks for saying that, because where I also relate with you too is that I grew up in America too, but I was born in Vietnam. So there's a commonality there that
Mhm.
I see in us. And so what's it like to be the bridge person? You know, being Indian but grew up in the States and now doing business and then going back to Asia doing business. That bridge thing that you do.
Yeah, so the bridge thing is worked out quite well in the sense that you do understand the core of what the people want. Actually, the core of what people want is almost the same worldwide, right?
Oh, tell us.
Uh-huh. Um,
'Cause-
but there's an Indian psyche of wanting to get ahead and being an engineer um, and I see that a lot here, more so than I would say in the U.S. Saw it. You know.
Say more about that,
Or
because
actually, wait, I shouldn't
yeah.
say that. I saw that when I first started working in the U.S. Right, there was the big culture of, um, a big engineering culture there, and I think that engineering culture has kind of dwindled because as the world has taken away a lot of the engineering world and work and spread it around the world, right,
Mm-hmm.
and especially in India. So that's a transformation of how work is done around the world that I've seen.
Yeah. So what's the difference that you see between Indian engineers or leaders in America versus Indian engineer leaders in India?
The engineering leadership here has been more about um, trying to manage a certain number of people, which kind of goes with the social structure of the country, where you go and tell your mother-in-law, your prospective bride to be that, hey, I'm a manager, I manage 12 people, and or my son manages 50 people, and so it's a lot of culture of everybody wants to be a manager.
Mm.
Um, Whereas in the U.S., what happens is that there are a lot of people that just want to be good engineers,
Mm.
and I find that is something that's missing, although it's coming to
Mm-hmm.
the country, but it's been missing from a perspective of somebody just wanting to be a good engineer.
Oh, so on one side it's like they want to develop themselves, and it's more about the meaning of the work and being good at what you do rather than the status symbol.
It is more about the status symbol here.
Yeah, that's what I
Yes,
mean.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, yeah, I do see that as I travel around Asia. It's the status symbol and the title is very important.
Exactly.
Yeah. Hmm. Yeah.
Um, and the idea of just plain invent, I think that has to be instilled. Although there's a lot of invention that happens in India,
Yeah.
but the idea of inventing stuff,
Instead of copying and perfecting.
exactly, right,
Yes.
right.
Yes. Yeah.
And there are a lot of good, obviously
Brilliant.
brilliant people
Yes.
here who would invent stuff given the opportunity to invent.
Right. Let's talk about that. That's really interesting too, because it is. I do see that, and it's common. It's in China, in Vietnam, in Thailand, and India too. It's hard for people to invent because they have to do something new, and it's almost like the social structure doesn't really support failure very much, or something there that has people more perfecting and copying than
No, I
no.
think there's okay. So first of all, I think you have to go with the intellectual property laws.
Okay.
So intellectual property laws didn't really exist to prevent somebody from copying something,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it's easier to copy a Google and make a Baidu than
Come up with something new.
come up with something new, right?
Oh.
And your barrier to entry is that you can't get into Baidu because it's Chinese and you have to do a search engine in Chinese.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so there and that's a valid business to have.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, but at the same time, um, the invention. If I look at
Thank
one
you.
of these. Oh, thank
To
you.
keep.
Okay.
I won't take them.
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Um,
you can.
inventions like Facebook, inventions like Google, inventions like let's say now Apple, coming out with all the tools, for example, the one that you're using. Um, these originated from people in the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't see any of that coming out of. I mean, of course, a lot of stuff came from Japan,
Mm-hmm.
but nothing's really come out of, let's say, China or India,
Mm-hmm.
where it's like prevalent, where it's like every day you use it, other than stuff that's copied.
Mm-hmm.
You know, um,
So I wonder why. So aside from it's easier to just copy and take off from there, what other reason you think that has people not
Oh, the promoting.
invent?
It'll be, people haven't built businesses. Like the value of companies in the U.S., I mean, or in India, sorry, is based on, um, it has been based on more on providing services, which is long-term contracts, and so there's a value there.
Mm-hmm.
And what happens is everybody wants to emulate that and say, okay, how can I do that,
Mm-hmm.
right? The value in China is a lot of manufacturing. Like, how do I
Mm-hmm.
set up a factory and manufacture something for someone?
Mm-hmm.
Um, Whereas what you need is a culture of invention that allows the invention. And in the problem in the inventing business is, yes, there's investment needed,
Mm-hmm.
risk
Mm-hmm.
taking needs to happen,
Mm-hmm.
and that risk taking hasn't been sort of in. It's not part of the culture.
No,
The rich
it's
people are
not.
rich,
Right.
poor people are poor,
Yeah.
and the working class is just the working class. And yes, the working class today makes a little more money than it did before, but it's still the working class.
Yeah. But I also think there's something about how we raise our children. We don't in Asia we don't really raise our children to think. We raise them to follow rules and follow the line.
That's true, but I think there's enough of I would call intercultural exchange based on education of people going to the U.S., getting educated there, and then coming back here. Um, that is actually the seeds of it are already there. It just needs to be nourished.
Yes. And that's that nourishing of that inventing and the being different, the being
Yes, yes,
out
and and,
there
and
risk failing and
there's
all that
lots of
stuff.
businesses. I mean, there's the VC communities here picking up. They're investing in companies, but unfortunately, from the VC world,
Mm-hmm.
the investment, like if you look at a portfolio of a VC company, would invest, let's say, they look at a company and say, okay, I have to put $10 million to potentially make $100 million.
Mm-hmm.
The equation changes in India is that you might only have to invest $2 million.
Mm-hmm.
Well, to invest 2 million and make 20,
Much better.
not many people want to do it. Like the people who are giving money to the VC companies, they have hundreds of millions of dollars.
Mm-hmm.
So, all of a sudden to put 2 million, it's like, okay, why should I take that risk?
Mm.
Or who's going to manage that risk?
Mm.
It's not big enough for them.
Mm.
So there's a cultural shift that has to happen of, okay, these are going to be smaller investments, and the smaller investment doesn't mean the result isn't $100 million
Right.
profit or a equity sale.
Yeah.
Sorry, I think I'm going too much into
Well, no, no, it's
stocks and
okay.
equity and
Yeah, no, it's part of the whole big equations, right? And so when it comes to like um, leaderships and things, leadership and growing yourself as a leader, what do you see that Indian leaders need who are in India?
Indian leaders need who are in India.
Yeah,
Uh,
what do they need to be more successful?
what do they need to be more successful? I don't know if they need anything more. I think it's just you just give it some time, they'll be successful.
Hmm. Well, what I've seen in working with a few of my Indian leaders is that they tend to be so robotized. They're like input output. Like when I sit down and have a conversation with them, it's not like this with you. It's like they're like sorting through everything I say. It's like not valuable, not valuable, not valuable, valuable, not valuable. It's like they're so mechanicalized in their head. They're
Really, which
so
Indian leaders are
driven.
you talking to?
I don't know. I mean, like I've coached quite a few now, and they work really hard. They drive themselves so hard.
What level of people are you talking about? Are they
Well,
managers? Are they directors? Are
they're
they CEOs?
CEOs of their smaller business unit. That's the other thing to talking about title, right? In India, they have CEO titles
Uh huh.
much sooner than other countries would have. a CEO title. So I would say they're more like at the director level.
Hmm.
Yeah, and it just seems like
Yeah. So the
they're
thing is that
they work so
the
hard.
visionaries are going to be people who, you know, I would say run businesses,
Mm-hmm.
or have their own
Right.
business.
Yeah.
Like if you go and talk
So then
to
middle management leaders then.
exactly that's and they're not risk takers,
No.
you know.
Hmm.
And so what happens is that that's what you have to nourish as giving them the ability to take risk,
Yeah.
right, and empowering them to fail.
Yeah. That's a great point because I do hear a lot of them like the consequence of failing or not meeting goal is really hard is really high for them, and so it's scary to risk.
Hmm.
And there isn't much nourishment of that. There's lips talking about that, but if they don't meet their goals and all that stuff, they can be replaced, removed very quickly,
But
and
that's
it just
true
yeah.
everywhere. All right, are we going to our yoga class?
I'm not.
You're not. No pranayama for you. You have to learn how to breathe. You're here for that.
It's my last day, and I'm done breathing.
All right, can we continue this later?
Yes. Thank you.
All right, you're welcome. Bye.